The world Muslim community is celebrating this Tuesday the Eid al-Fitr, the celebration marking the end of the holy month of Ramadan. In Gabon, the day has been declared a paid public holiday throughout the Gabonese territory. Morocco officially joins the Mission Innovation Alliance, becoming the 25th member of this international energy innovation cluster and the first African country to join it. There is definitely a battle going on between army and protesters in Sudan. The head of the military council has announced the cancellation of all kinds of agreements with the ALC. General Burhan also calls for elections in 9 months. These are our top stories. Stay tuned for more details in this newscast. Studied on Monday 6th, Ramadan 2019 ended on the evening of Monday, June 3rd. In a statement by the President of the Higher Council of Islamic Affairs of Gabon, Imam Ismail Hosseini announced the end of the month of Ramadan and the celebration of the Holy Eid al-Fitr on Tuesday. In the early hours of the morning, Muslims rushed to the mosques such as Hassan II in Libreville for the celebration of the Great Prayer. Very important date within the calendar, the Eid al-Fitr offers the opportunity to gather around a meal with one's relatives to exchange gifts, but especially to pray. After a month of starvation and abstinence from sunrise to sunset, Muslims around the world celebrate Eid al-Fitr, putting an end to fasting. There is no longer any agreement between army and protesters in Sudan. General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, head of the military council that has ruled the country since the dismissal of President Omar el-Bashir, announced the cancellation of the measures on which they had agreed with the protesters and called for elections within 9 months. A decision taken in the aftermath of the security forces' dispersal of the protesters' sitting camp on Monday in front of the army headquarters in Khartoum, where protesters had gathered to demand the transfer of power to civilians. The operation reportedly killed over 30 people, with hundreds of others wounded, according to doctors close to the protest. The fourth ministerial meeting of the Mission Innovation Alliance brought together ministers, senior officials, and business leaders from more than 25 countries around the world. This ministerial conference on clean energy focused on practical cooperation, the exchange of ideas and experiences for green solutions, and the involvement of the private sector in this area. The Moroccan energy strategy is fully in line with Mission Innovation's objectives of accelerating innovation in the development of clean energy to limit global warming, said the Moroccan Minister of Mines, Energy and Sustainable Development. African countries face several challenges, he said, noting in this respect the need for access to electricity and drinkable water, the preservation of the natural environment, new urbanization, and the development of the rural world, which is disconnected from the world reality. Mission Innovation is a global initiative to accelerate innovation in clean energy. For the organizers, the power of innovation, driven by sustained public investment and combined with corporate leadership, can make clean energy affordable and incorporate new ideas in society. The French-speaking air is the colorless, odorless, invisible gas fluid that makes up the Earth's atmosphere. It allows man to obtain oxygen during the breathing process. Sometimes air contains particles that are external, inappropriate, and harmful to man. And when air quality is affected by chemical, biological, or physical pollutants, we are talking of air pollution, of which many countries are affected today. Greenpeace has called for strong measures to reduce road traffic around schools in Ile-de-France and Marseille because of their high exposure to carbon dioxide pollution. The association called Respire denounces a similar situation in Mexico, where the Mexican authorities had closed schools and suspended major construction sites in the city, while a cloud of pollution enveloped the megapole. In India, the air pollution alert has reached the maximum level. Air pollution is the theme chosen this year to commemorate International Environment Day, a day with the main objective of urging governments, industries, communities, and individuals to come together to explore existing opportunities in terms of renewable energy and green technology, and to improve air quality in cities and regions around the world. In Gabon, the festivities that began on June 1st will last for a week. The artistic group Le Chant sur la Loé prepares its next production, a show called Melody, an event with beautiful voices as usual. After their stay in the country of Rainbow and in China, not a minute of rest for the artistic group Le Chant sur la Loé. These singers are again in training as a prelude to the Melody show. It is a repertoire of songs in Zulu, but also in languages of Gabon such as Miene, Ipunu, Fang, to mention a few. Melody is a musical melting pot which traces the cultural diversity of the Gabonese territory. The French-speaking African version of the Voice competition has been in Africa for a few years now, and it continues its search and detection of African talent at a time when people were wondering about what has become of the rare pearls found during the previous editions. We still remember Break, Grace, and Busin from Gabon, Veruska from Cameroon, and many others. These are the names of participants of the first edition of the French-speaking African version of The Voice, a competition which became an exciting adventure for these young talents who would have decided not to separate without marking this competition with an indelible die. It is in a song by the Cameroonian artist Henry Dikonge that the 24 beautiful voices from Africa showcased their different talents.
Sur ce bonheur qui m'est donné,
cette force jaillit de sa fragilité, ne finit pas de m'aider.
la vie, oh, la vie.
Life, a misery, an experience, a happiness, a joy, a pleasure were the terms through which these young talents made us dream, raising their different emotions and showing to the whole world that Africa, with its natural and cultural wealth, is truly the cradle of humanity. The Muslim community is celebrating this Tuesday the Eid al-Fitr, the celebration marking the end of the holy month of Ramadan. In Gabon, the day has been declared a paid public holiday throughout the Gabonese territory. Morocco officially joins the Mission Innovation Alliance, becoming the 25th member of this international energy innovation cluster and the first African country to join it. There is definitely a battle going on between army and protesters in Sudan. The head of the military council has announced the cancellation of all kinds of agreements with the ALC. General Buran also calls for elections in 9 months. That's all for our newscast today. Stay tuned on Gabon 24 for more news.